So there's a few things on this boat that already I'm looking to try and change. So let's have a little look. The first thing is this tiller. Let's just get this back around how it should be. This tiller drops and hits this little thing here. So, and also it's a bit low there. I'd like it to stay up in that position. So I'm gonna have to work something out to stop the tiller dropping down and allowing it to sort of go that way. So we'll work that out first, but other than that the tiller's okay. The other thing we need to do is a main sheet cleat. So I mean, I have got these, but they're a little bit, I don't think that's what they're for. Someone's put these into the boat, they're not original, but you know, ideally we have a cleat maybe here, put here for the main sheet, or down the side here would be probably a nice idea. Maybe just here, just so we can cleat the main sheet and uncleat it really quickly. I think this must be a remnant of an old tiller extension. It's the only thing I can think of that is for. The other thing I'd like to fit is like a tiller tamer, but I'm going to make my own. So in Roger Barnes's dinghy cruising book, he's got a really great example of a tiller tamer that you can adjust the strength of. So I'm going to do that. I've got all the bits to do that. The next thing I want to do is seal up the side lockers. So at the moment you may be able to see there's if you look inside there, there's foam in there, polystyrene, but that will give the boat buoyancy, especially when these cabins are open. But I was thinking, you can see that there's foam in there as well, but the trouble is, that's actually open to the back there. If these, we could seal that off at the back there. I don't know why that's open. I don't know why that's open, but if we could seal that off, it looks like an old bilge pump maybe was fitted here. I don't know, because that looks about the right size for a bilge. Yeah, for sort of a bilge hose to come through. I don't know. Let's have a look down here. There's nothing else in here though. But if we could seal these up, like on the newer boats, with a sealed hatch, that would actually give me side buoyancy tanks, very much like in the mirror. So let's have a look here. This one's got a hole as well. So that hole does not go anywhere, even with that divot in there. So maybe that's for, I don't know what that's for. I'll have to ask what that hole is for. But in the front you can see they're all sealed up. Let's double check that. All my knees, I've got old rugby players' knees. Yeah, I think these are completely sealed. I'm pretty sure of it. I'm pretty sure. There's some, and then we can put lockers on here. We just have to measure those up and see if we can find lockers to fit. Then the other thing is in here. So this is the forward buoyancy tank, and you may be able to see, I think I did a video of this before. It's just full of this stuff, and it stinks. It seems to have absorbed a little bit of water, and as long as you can keep this sealed and airtight, there's absolutely no reason why you should have polystyrene in there, especially chips. You're actually better off putting something more, in fact I've got something nasty on from that polystyrene on my hand now, but you're actually better off putting something more solid, like an inflatable bag in there. So if water were to get in there, these polystyrene chips aren't going to help much, because they're just all going to float up to the top of the waterline anyway. So I have no idea. I'm told that Drascombe put those in there, but I'm an engineer. I'm not a sailor per se, but I am an engineer, and I understand buoyancy from a science point of view, and I can't see that working, to be honest with you. Now, at the side tanks I've just shown you, which have got the polystyrene strapped to the top of them, well, when the water floods in, that polystyrene will hit the top of the tank and it will give buoyancy. But the front here, I don't know. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is this front locker looks like a real waste of space. So whilst I wouldn't want to fill it with stuff, I don't know why we can't just use that as stowage. Now, this is a tiny little stowage hole, but it would be good for an anchor probably. Certainly the grapple anchor would go in here and would stow in there. But if we could, let me just shuffle back down the boat. Oh, got my shoe caught in there. So if we shuffle down the back of the boat here, at the front of the boat here, if we could put some sealed locker in there, then, you know, even both sides, and we could have a really nice stowage area there. Now, I like everything stowed away. I'm not a massive fan of having it in a bucket, because you can lose stuff in the bucket. But one of the reasons why I'm thinking of opening this stowage up is that I want to put a bilge pump down here, an automatic one, and run it off a 12-volt battery with a solar panel or charging off the engine. And I think it's a toss-up really whether you want to run the hose a short distance and a couple of wires a long distance, or the hose a long distance and a couple of wires a short distance. I don't know. So I'm sort of starting to think, you know, where things could go on the boat for when we go dinghy cruising. The other thing is, you know, you need to keep this area open, because I'm planning on sleeping on the boards here to begin with and seeing how we go. The other reason why I like to stow things forward is on this boat, when you've got your engine on the back and you've got kind of me near the back, stowing stuff in the front locker will kind of balance the boat out a little bit better. So, you know, I think sundries, lines, items, water can all go in the side here, your fenders, things like that. But I think in the front you could have sort of heavier items. You might even be able to fit the engine in there if you know, for stowage. But, you know, heavier items, maybe tents, things like that, cooking equipment, things like that, could go in the front rather than in the back. Now, the back's got a huge stowage. Let's go and have a look at the back. So to get into the rear stowage, now it's hard to do with one hand actually. There you go. You just lift that up. It's not sealed, this back tank, at all. But what it does have is polystyrene blocks in there. I mean, quite frankly, I can't see them making any difference at all. I really don't. Now, what you can do is seal this up. I mean, all you've got to do is fiberglass it in, and then I've seen people have created a locking, you know, sealed locker door in there. But what is amazing about here is it's just vast. So as long as you can keep things light in the back, it will store and swallow a ton of stuff. Now, the danger with making the boat too buoyant is you won't be able to right it. If it goes over and it turtles, the chances of you getting it pulled back are a lot less. You need the boat to not have too much buoyancy, otherwise it's just hard to get it back upright. So it'll be buoyant upright and it'll be buoyant the other way round. So there is a toss-up of doing that. But, you know, these are the things that I'm thinking of at the moment. So, yeah. We've got a lot to think about at the moment. The other place you can stow things is under the floorboards. So, you know, let me just move that over here. So these are nice. They need to be picked up from the outside, ideally. They flip up quite nicely then. But look, you can see you've got a hell of a lot of space under there, especially if it's stuff that you don't mind getting wet. So, you know, I've been thinking, you know, a bilge pump here, because this is where the water tends to stock up. But you know, your anchor, if you can get some padding down there, your anchor will go under there, especially a Danforth might go under there, and it's quite easy to access these. Like I say, I think we need a little hole drilling in them so you can just lift them with a finger. But you've got more stowage. Now the benefit of having stowage under here is that it's low down in the boat, so it gives it better centre of gravity as well. The negatives are, if you do flip the boat, these boards are probably going to fall out at the moment, and so will everything in it. But you know, the idea is that's not gonna happen. So, and also we probably need to put a couple of screws in these into the fiberglass to make sure they're down, at least quick release screws or something like that. So there you go, there's the stowage on the boat. There's potentially a hell of a lot of it. We just need to get it right and in the right places and get some advice on what would be best to do.